excited. Hey, it's Romania Black, and we are starting TRIGUN STARGAZE. I'm so excited. I'm so freaking excited. So, I'm Romania Black. If you've not seen on my channel, you can go check it out. But I have been reacting to TRIGUN for the last year and a half, 2 years. I reacted to the 1997 or 98 anime, whichever year it is. I reacted to that first because I'd heard of TRIGUN since I was a kid, but I'd never really gotten into it. And then I reacted to TRIGUN Stampede, and it was so much fun. And then this last year, I have been spending time on my channel reviewing and reacting to TRIGUN Maximum, which is the manga. So I have seen all of the TRIGUN iterations at this point, so I feel like I don't need a mod. For this channel, since we're going to be watching week to week together. That's what I'm excited about. So yes, I am going to be watching TRIGUN STARGAZE and posting it on my Patreon a week earlier than YouTube because that's how I roll. So for $5 a month, you can go check out the episode 2 if you're watching this through YouTube for the first time right now on my channel if you want to after this episode. But otherwise, I'm going to be going week to week with you all. I'm so excited. I have been waiting for this. My brother and I have a video on my channel of it as well, but we went to MomoCon in Georgia this last summer, and I got the fortunate opportunity to attend a TRIGUN Stampede / Stargaze panel at that convention, and it was mainly about Stampede. They had the graphic designer from the series there answering questions and showing us all the little bits and pieces and tiny little things that make this series so intricate and wonderful, but they were like, oh yeah, Stargaze! I was like, ah. So having read the manga, Maximum, I have a lot of expectations. I'm not going to immediately talk about those during the reaction and discussion because some of you may be watching this having only watched TRIGUN Stampede, so you may not have any bearings on Maximum, and that's totally okay. But I will have a spoiler corner at the end of the discussion that I do where I'll talk a little bit about what I'm expecting based on Maximum to come out with this. So I have stayed spoiler free for Stargaze though, because I wanted to be surprised because I kind of already know what could happen or like little motifs that they might draw upon based on Maximum and the 1997 anime. So I'm like, I just want to be spoiler free, walk into this and enjoy it with you all and then talk about it. So that's what we're going to do. But thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I really appreciate it. It's going to be a fun time. Real quick before we start though, speaking of my Patreon, if you're just watching this on YouTube and you don't have any money to spare to help support my channel, I totally understand that. In this economy, totally understand. Please give a like to the video, comment down below your thoughts about the episode. I would love to talk to you all about it. I do check the comments. I do respond to people. So I would be happy to talk to you and respond to your comment about this series, especially with this series, because I don't really have to worry about spoilers. We can talk a lot about this series, and that's what I would love to do. So please comment down below and let me know your thoughts. But if you do have a couple extra dollars to spare and you want to support the channel for the month and get access to things a week earlier, join us on the Discord channel that we have and talk about TRIGUN. It's a fun time. We share lots of fan art and kind of just geek out and love Wolfwood and all of that. Like Wolfwood, Vashwood, all the different ships that are associated with Vash, they're all valid. But I do want to give a shout out to the philanthropy tier on my channel because they get the perk of getting shouted out in my videos because they donate a couple extra dollars a month because they're amazing people. So we've got a couple new extra ones for this month. So I want to give a shout out to Destiny Marie, to Fisho, to Lyndon, as well as to Zero Anti-Zero, to Translucent Men, Eric Ichu, Be Happy, as well as Ghostly Turnip, Dana, Alex Cornejo, Diana Williams, Murphew, Daniel, Devorin, Rose Jennison, Damage3245, as well as James, Rast, CATA, Alexandra Q, Shimoyama, Sunspots, Nicholas, Sean, and Jason N. I write them down in this little paper so I can remember everybody because they're all so awesome. But thank you all so much for your kindness and support. All of my love. So 5-minute intro is usually about the norm. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am super excited. There will be a link down below to the actual reaction, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So we're going to get started here and look at TRIGUN STARGAZE episode 1. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do it to it. I'm going from like doing this to maniacally wringing my hands. Ah, okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, what a setup episode. They are, it's very interesting because as somebody that has read the manga and seen the 97 version, they are simultaneously, and it's very rare that a series can do this, they are simultaneously speedrunning and IV dripping elements of the plot. And I'm like, that OP is so good. I want to say, first of all, I just want the soundtrack now. The jazz, the saxophone, the piano pieces, the score alone in this episode, the like alt rock jam whenever those guys are being taken away after Millie and Meryl fight them. I was like, I just want the soundtrack now. Can I get that? I honestly might get this on vinyl because it's so good. I freaking love the soundtrack already. I'm like, yes, please. Way to go, Trigun. Which, it makes sense. Why not? But okay, I'm going to have a lot to say in the spoiler corner. So that will probably be the majority of the discussion for this episode because I'm really excited by what they're doing. And the cool thing about Stargaze, the reason why I'm reacting to it with you all, because some people might say, well, you've read the manga, you've seen Stampede in the 97 version. What would be the benefit of reacting to something when you already know what's going to happen? There are elements of this that I don't know what they're going to do. There are elements of this that I see the inspiration from Maximum. I see it and I'm like, okay, well, you could do things, but there are already elements of Stampede that were different from Maximum. And I'm like, well, because those elements are different, you're already going to have to do something else instead of what you did in the original series. So that has me really excited to see what they end up doing and how they make it. The cool thing about Trigun is it's one of those series where there's the 97 anime, there's Maximum, there's Stampede. Each have the same characters and the same overall plot, but they reinvent the wheel and do things a little differently to where you can kind of like pick and choose which version you like best, right? And so they're doing some things that are interesting in this version so far that I'm like, okay, I'm curious to see where that goes. What are we going to do with that? So, especially towards the end, I'm like, okay. So, there's going to be a lot of spoiler corner discussion, but I want to go through with you all. And I'm going to pull up some screenshots here so we can watch alongside and just talk through the episode because there's a lot of really good things and the visuals and all of that. So, we're going to do this here in 3, 2, 1. The idea of the moon and the crater in it, making it look like an eyeball that is looking down upon the planet and then cutting to that eyeball, which I think it's Knives. I think Knives is in the status tube. The idea of connecting those things together symbolically is just really cool. I think that that's such a great idea. I love it. It works really well. And yeah, once you back up and see, it literally looks like the eye is looking down upon the planet. It's such a fun twist. And it just, the team did a really good job with that. So yeah, we come down to the planet. I love all the greens and reds, like corresponding, you have the greens of the worms, which make it seem like growth and plantation and life. And then you have like the reds of the desert and humanity trying to survive on this barren, desolate planet. Works really, really well. The contrast is great. But I'm going to say one thing. My recommendation, I think that I get why they started out with this. They had the opening scene where Knives and his crew come in to steal the plant and cause the onslaught of everything. I get why they did that, and it is a good opener for the season. It's a good opener. I'm not mad at that. Let me grab this for my dog. But one thing that I would have changed, since the chronological order of this episode is you have the plant being stolen, then you have Meryl and Millie's debacle, and then you immediately cut to 6 months later. That felt like that transition of that 6 months made that original seem so short. What I would have done is I would have switched the first two scenes. I would have opened with Meryl and Millie in the saloon and all that goes on there. That would have been a great place to open. Then I would have cut to them hearing about the plant being stolen and being like, what? A plant stolen for the first time in 2 years? Then I would have cut to this scene where the plant's actually being stolen because it's happening more and more. It's not like a one-time occurrence. So you could have shown one of the plants being stolen, and then I would have cut to 6 months later. So I don't know why the animation studio chose to do that, but it made the 6-month cut feel kind of clunky. So that is my only critique of the episode. That is my only critique, is I would have switched those two scenes and I think it would have flowed a little bit better, but that's literally my only critique. That's my only bad I've got about the episode. I really like it. And I like that the symbolism and the way that the setting is structured, because I'm a teacher of English, so anytime we talk about the elements of fiction, I like to bring it up. But you can tell in this episode, setting is such an important part of Trigun. The idea of how setting molds characters, it changes the way that they think, it invokes what actions they take. And so the setting, where most of this episode is in a desolate wasteland, in the saloon, in the smaller towns, not the big cities like we saw at the end of Stampede, but the actual like desolate rural towns, you can see how much, like this shot here of the electricity, how important it is. It's like the one light amidst all the darkness surrounding the area. You know, that's very symbolic, right? That's very symbolic. And it helps to shape why these people think certain ways. And like the water and everything. Although that little baby with like the little splotch of red hair, I'm like, is that Yuji Itadori being held? So we're going to talk about some things, but now it's not the time. Instead, we have Knives' big like land ship coming to steal the plant away. And we see frickin' Legato Blue Summers with his impossibly tiny waist and his Dorito torso. Get this man a sandwich. He deserves it. We see the doctor with them. Alindira is with them. And there's this other dude with them. This other guy. Just casually there that we're going to talk about. And then, yeah, they're gathering. That guy looks like a member of the Gung Ho Gang. I don't quite remember him. Is he maybe Monave the Gale? I think he might be. But anyway, this episode's called Wandering Days. And then we get, right before we cut, again, the show is not subtle. It shows the moon with the eyeball, and then it immediately cuts to the eyeball in the tank, which I'm like, why is Knives' eyeball just staring back at us? Because you know that's Knives. Was he destroyed and now he's being regrown into a test tube? I guess we're going to find out. If Knives is getting regrown in a test tube. I can't imagine getting fully reconstructed would help your mental health any more than it would for Knives, but okay. I feel like Wandering Days is a great title for this episode. But we're going to talk about the OP in the spoiler corner. So instead, we're going to cut to this lovely opening here where Millie and Meryl get their banana split and their meal foy. And I love their outfit designs. I love it. I will go ahead and say that in the 1997 version, Millie has a giant trench coat. I miss the trench coat. It was very 90s. I do miss that. That's not really a spoiler because I don't know. She may wear it later. Who knows? But she does have a big trench coat in the 97 anime. I miss that, but I do love her gloves. I love the design. It feels more practical. She doesn't have the coat because she has a giant Gatling gun. So, Meryl's outfit, I love. I love the cargo pants. I love those. I love her kind of side button jacket that she has with the gloves and everything. I really like her design. And Meryl has a Derringer there. Again, Meryl also has a cape in the 97 version. We talked about it during Stampede, but this is a more modern update and it's more practical for the desert. So, and for, just being active. So I accept that. But yeah, these two ladies are just trying to enjoy their day. They're just trying to enjoy a little treat, some tea, and these guys come in to mess it all up. But I just love Trigun has it's like Mad Max. Naito makes like Mad Max-esque antagonists. It's great. I love the skull, jaw and everything. Again, Studio Orange doing the animation on the movement of the fight. It almost feels like a motion capture the way that he moved, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I love our girls. I love our girls taking action and taking names. It's fun. I'm going to be bringing out Maximum Volume 1 when we get to the spoiler corner. I'm going to be doing that. But I will go ahead and tell you, because it's not really a spoiler. necessarily, but in the manga, there is a chapter where we meet Meryl and Millie, and the chapter itself, if I can find it, I want to show you all just kind of a sort of thing here. It's called Girls Bravo. I'm going to try to cover all this up. But yeah, and it shows Meryl and Millie kind of running away there in their original outfits. It's super cute. But yeah, that pose there reminded me of the chapter 3 Girls Bravo. I thought that was really cute. So I really like Millie. I'm glad that she's in here. We were going to talk about it as soon as the music that played during this scene, as soon as that song came on, I'm like, I want the soundtrack now, ASAP, stat, need that soundtrack. But so the girls go back to getting there another banana split and meal full. I will say, for being a town suffering and ruin for resources, bananas? Again, where did they get donuts in the original? But I'm just like, where's your banana tree? They're all cloned anyway, so it doesn't matter. But so we cut to 6 months later. That I wish we would have had the opening scene with the Sunday split and then cut to knives and all of that right before the OP. But would you have been able to do that before the OP? I get why they did it. It's just a personal thing, a personal preference, because we cut to 6 months later. And so everybody's leaving one of the cities where the plant has been stolen. The show does a good job of pointing out the attitude surrounding the townspeople. Like, everyone is just on edge. Everyone is stressed. Everyone is anxiety ridden. They're on edge, so they're not being kind. And even the older woman, when Meryl and Millie give her back the water bottle that this guy had taken away, she just snatches it back. Not because she's mean, but because she's just on edge. Like, everybody is just really struggling. And there's a nice conversation about how, we have in our own world right now where people are refugees and they travel from one country to another, and the other countries are worried about their own resources and things. So it's kind of tying to a real world issue. But Meryl and Millie point out, they're like, on this planet, the resources are so finite. The reason why everyone split up and separated so distantly from one another is because they wanted to make sure they had enough resources just for those pockets. And once those pockets start to converge, your resources really start to get limited. So I think they do a really good job in this episode of kind of setting the stakes of if we start. And also, if you think about it, if Knives is taking the plants from each location, everyone is going to start to gather in the same spots, which, if Knives' plan is to destroy the human population, how convenient that he's gathered them all in one location to do that. So, it seems part of his plan, and it's been very effective so far. But I do like the trench coats and the jackets and the glasses and all this. It's kind of funny. Their outfits and how their armor and everything is here looks kind of like Zazie the Beast and the Worms. Interesting. Also, the old-timey camera is just, I love the steampunk elements of this series. It's great. So yeah, so I do appreciate that they've kept in the 1997 and the original manga and anime, and this isn't a spoiler because it's a plot twist. It's a plot change that really doesn't affect much except for the humor. In the original series, Millie and Meryl are from an insurance company. And the joke at the start of the series is they're trying to get a hold of Vash because he's causing so much insurance problems. And it's such a 90s kooky plot point that I love. I absolutely adore it. And in Stampede, when they changed her to being a reporter, I was like, okay, well, that makes more sense to the plot of the series. The insurance part is just really funny. But this makes more sense. You're trying to spread communication amongst these cities that are not near one another. Being a reporter is a more feasible, although being an insurance person is very feasible too, but the insurance felt too on the nose for the 90s. This feels more generic and broad for an actual story, and it's not, hyper specific. So they're continuing that with Millie taking our dear sweet R.I.P. Dude's place that was here from our last season. I like Millie a lot as a contrast because when we had our dear sweet man from last season, I think when we had Roberto from last season, I appreciated by the time he died. I didn't like him at first in the series. I was like, I don't like Roberto at all. He's just like he's a version of Wolfwood and like, but by the end of the series, I kind of got what he was doing for Meryl's character. And now Meryl's kind of picked up what she learned from Roberto, and that's kind of affected her character going into this. I like that it hasn't affected her character to the point where she's not empathetic or believes Vash or wants to find him and wants to help him. I'm glad that that's the case. But I like Millie as a foil to Roberto, whereas Roberto was jaded and burnt out and just viewed everything so pessimistically, which I'm like, we got enough pessimism in this series. We don't need that. Millie is kind of the polar opposite of that, where she is this, as Zazie says, very brilliantly simplistic. Like, Roberto kind of overthinks things with the jadedness, and Millie is like, no, everything's gonna work out. You'll see. We just X, Y, and Z. Ta-da! Like, Millie appears idealistic, but she's actually pretty realistic. She touches on some points about Vash feeling guilty that are a pretty realistic thing. She's just very simple and positive about it, whereas Roberto could overcomplicate in his own mind and be very negative. So it's a nice transition and a nice twist, but we got these two brunettes roaming around with Meryl trying to influence her. I do like this little moment where she gives her the drink. That's really cute. I love that. Those of you that ship Meryl and Millie, we ate pretty good in this episode, which honestly, Meryl, Millie, Vash, and Wolfwood are like the quadrant square of shipping. You can ship them in any way you want to, and you will be fine. You win either way. I think maybe the weakest ship for me is Millie and Vash. A valid ship, but maybe my weakest ship. But the other ships, yeah. So they talk about Vash here at the beginning of the episode just as a way to reacquaint the audience. If you don't know who Vash is, he's still at large. I felt like that was literally just to reacquaint the audience, because why are you still running a 2.5-year-old ad about Vash, you know? But it was necessary. And so I'm also glad that Meryl believes that Knives is the culprit. That Meryl is, I feel like, and again, this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but I feel like it felt harder to convince people, especially Meryl and Millie, that Knives was a problem because Vash doesn't want to talk about it. And here, because Meryl witnessed the stuff that happened in Lost July, it's called Lost July now, because she experienced that, she knows firsthand that it was Knives that was responsible. But Millie brings up a good point, saying even though Knives was responsible, Vash was implicated into it, so that's why he probably feels guilty and why he's probably ran away and isn't anywhere to be seen. They don't show us Wolfwood in this episode. I feel like they're going to save Wolfwood for a little down the road. We'll talk about that in the spoiler corner, but I'm not mad that Wolfwood wasn't in this episode, but yeah. So yeah, Vash let out all that energy, but it still caused July to be destroyed. Even if the guy Knives was really behind Lost July, like you kept writing in your articles. And we get the little exposition that Meryl's like, yeah, I wrote everything that would give given Vash's innocence, but they weren't published. So no one knows at this point. What she's saying is that she knows the truth. She's tried to publish the truth. They wouldn't put it out there. No one knows that Vash was not responsible, and nobody really knows about Knives. So that's a problem. That's something we're going to have to take care of in this season. So we'll see how that goes. And that's when Millie says, regardless of who pulled the trigger, Vash got hundreds of thousands of July residents involved. Yeah, that's not good. And that's probably why he feels guilty. And you can tell in that moment that Meryl is like, she doesn't like that fact, and she knows that he probably feels guilty, and she wants to find him to help rectify the situation and bring him back. I just want her to like smack Vash and be like, get back into this. But yeah, so then we see Zazie, this icon. I like that Millie's like, oh, hey. Millie is not bothered at all. Millie is instantly accepting of all of this. Zazie looks amazing. I am all aboard the non-binary icon that Zazie is. Freaking love it. I also like that Zazie's just like, hey, you guys want to hang out? I like that Zazzy's like, hey, you guys want to chill and hang out together and talk some exposition? Let's go. I love Zazzy. I like this non-binary, like, gendered be damned look that Zazzy has going on. They have, like, the lipstick, they have the nails, they have the hair, but, like, there's nothing necessarily femme about their look, but there's also nothing necessarily masc about their look. It's really this colorful, beautiful, non-binary, like, just like rainbow wave. I'm a sucker for the anime. Bulma uses this look in Dragon Ball Z, but like the short and then the long pant leg look, not practical at all, but it looks freaking cool. I like that. Their entire look right now looks amazing. Love that for them. So they take Millie and Meryl to the abandoned ship that crashed during the big fall where all these people died. And we see like all the plants and stuff. Whenever they shined the light and then they turned on the lights and all of the worms were just there. Oh, that was so creepy. I loved that. That was such a great moment. It was awesome. And so they're like, here is where all the plants were kept. Now, most of the plants have either been taken or destroyed. I'm assuming destroyed. I think they were either taken or destroyed. I don't know if Knives took these plants and left the one that was already dead because it wasn't going to be, useful. But like with all the humans gone, there wasn't any way to produce resources like food, water, or fuel. What do you think happened to it? I want to go back to this question that is posited by Zazzy, saying this would suggest this area was very important to the humans. And so this was where the plant was kept. And then now here's the question. And the plant's no longer needed. What happened to it? The answer is it died because it didn't have anything to do. Again, I really like Millie and Meryl's outfits. I would cosplay as Meryl in a heartbeat or Millie. They both look amazing. And so it's like, you've been researching plants since July, right? I don't know if this is suggesting that if the plants can't function to help the humans, then they're going to die if there's no functionality for them. That could be. This plant here that's in the tube that becomes the ash, the design is gorgeous. I freaking love design. It looks amazing. Again, this like non-binary, they're plants, so they're not necessarily male or female regardless, but just like the look of them, it's very Avatar. It's really cool. I like it. For a second with like the bisection there, I wondered if this was the plant that birthed Vash and Knives, but I don't think they were necessarily birthed by a plant. Weren't they both test tube babies? Perhaps is. But it's like it died pretty soon after the humans were gone. So yeah, interesting. Interesting indeed. The capsule's functioning perfectly. It wasn't a last run. It wasn't a malfunction. And Meryl's like, it was in this cramped space with nothing to do and it just died. So Meryl, of course, brings up the idea of the plants and humans being able to cooperate and work together. That the plants, this suggests the plants might need the people to use it, which is an interesting concept. But Meryl's like, but even if we exploit the plants and use their resources, that doesn't mean we need to treat them badly. That means we should probably be taking care of them instead of just abusing them. And Zazzy, of course, does not. They're like, well, that's all ideal and everything, but how are you going to do that? This just looks gorgeous. I love the way that it's like wings kind of furl out like a dress and it's just staring. It's so good. It's so cool. But yeah, so Zazzy's like, because Meryl's like, well, neither myself nor Vash want to watch the plants suffer. Neither of us want to do that. And then Zazzy's like, but Knives feels the same way. I like that Zazzy's like, look, Knives is thinking the same thing you all are. They don't want the plants to suffer either. The problem is that, Millie points out that Knives wants to kill all the humans to create this paradise for the plants. And they're like, yes. So this ship was like a utopia for him. That's what makes him different from you humans. So what does it mean for you to be unable to see the plants suffer? So he's like, look, Knives has a plan. Knives' plan is kill all the humans have the plants have this utopia, which we'll talk about in the spoiler corner, but also if there's this understanding that the plants can't survive without the people, how's that going to work? And so Zazzy's like, you know Knives' plan, now what's yours? How will you solve this problem? And Meryl's like, well, this is really complicated. And Zazzy's like, is there not an answer? And Meryl's like, well, unless we exploit the plants, the humans are going to suffer and die because we need the resources they provide. But if the plants are suffering, she's like, I want to find a way to make things better for them. I love like the shot of the hands. And she's like, except then humans, like, how do we do this? And that's when Zazzy says, there's no exit to that maze. Zazzy's like, you're asking a question that has no answer. And you're not going to find it. So what's the point? And I like Meryl saying, well, even if there doesn't seem to be an answer, I still want to try to find out what to do. I'm still going to try to find it. I love when she touches the plants. We see all of them like turning into the feathers and just evaporating. So pretty. Love it. And so, yeah, I still want to find the best way forward no matter how long that takes. It's essentially the tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. There is no easy answer, and the answer is going to cause something to suffer or something to have consequence, but that doesn't mean it's not worth trying to find. Just because it's going to be difficult, it doesn't mean it's not worth trying to find or working towards, even if it seems impossible. She's like, and that's how I feel. And I like that Zazzy's like, oh yeah, you believe someday you're going to figure out how the Thomases think with that logic. I'm like, hey, you know, we've done that with worms. And Millie's like, we just have to find a way to live without depending on the plants, right? That seems possible. Let's use the worms. And Zazzy's like, oh, you're so simple. Love you, Millie. I did not expect a Zazzy Millie ship to come from this episode, but here we are. Here we are. Like Meryl's like, I don't think that was a compliment. So yeah. Then we find out that there's a fleet heading for no man's land. And Zazzy's like, this is what I'm talking about. Now, on the surface, this seems like a great thing. These fleets are showing up. They're going to pick everybody up off of no man's land and be like, hey, we're going for the Berkeley 59 star cluster to look for a new planet. If y'all want, we'll come in 6 months and pick y'all up and then head out. That seems like it would solve all the problems. That would solve all the problems. Like, okay, Knives, you've got all your plants. They've got all the people. You can have this whole planet to yourself. Not going to be as simple as that. It's not going to be as simple as that at all. My big worry is like those who wish to do so can board our ship and accompany us to the new frontier. I'm like, I don't know if they know how many people are on this planet that are going to go. I do like that this one guy who was praying about the Doom planet being saved, that is a voice actor that I know. That's a pretty, I feel like that voice actor is well known. I'm like, I don't think it's Hisoya, but I feel like that's a well-known voice actor. And I'm like, him playing a side character is interesting. So I wonder if he's going to come back up because he feels like a pretty well-known name. I'm like, for him just to say one line in this episode, I feel like maybe that's not the last we've seen of him, but I don't know. However, when this guy's like, oh, we don't have to worry about our inventory in 6 months. We can just party all we want right now. That's very dangerous thinking. Let's not do that. That's counting your chickens before they hatch. That's putting the cart before the horse. That's dangerous thinking because what if something happens to the ships? What if Knives interferes? What if they decide after seeing all the people down there, they're like, we changed our minds. Humans have a tendency to lie and a tendency to change their minds. So I don't know if I'd bank on that. That seems like a bad idea. I'd be a little more cautious than that. But anyway, so then our mysterious individual comes in. This, from here on out, I love this episode so much. My favorite scene is between our disabled character here and Vash. They're my favorite scene of the episode. This whole scene of watching how the people instantly react to him is really, really disturbing. And it's mainly just because of how he looks and smells. Like, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't present any type of attitude when he shows up. He doesn't like tell people, he's not like, get out of the way or like all this. He doesn't do that at all. He just walks in the door, walks up to the counter and doesn't even ask, Like, he doesn't even pull a Maleficent where he's like, why wasn't I invited, to the party? He doesn't do anything of that. He's just like, I just want some milk. Like, he doesn't even want the booze. Doesn't want the expensive stuff. He just puts, and he even pays for it. He puts down the money. He's like, I just want some milk. And doesn't make a scene. That's it. And the fact that the man is like, well, that's fine, but we told you to, I asked you this before, but can you use the back door? I'm like, it's such a telling moment of this man is not considered to be belonging in the community, even though his physical appearance is literally the only thing separating them. I think it speaks a lot for humanity, and it speaks a lot for this town. And I'm like, y'all just said you're getting picked up in 6 months, so why don't you care? Why don't you be nice to him? I don't think that he expects to go with them. He makes that kind of, that makes that apparent with Vash later on. Speaking of Vash, let me tell you, I have been waiting to see long-haired Vash for a long time in this series. Long-haired Vash. Oh man, Eric's aka long-haired traumatized Vash. I think at this point it is very clear that Vash does not remember what has happened, because when he started talking about the colony ships, Vash didn't have a response. So we can assume that Vash does not have his memories about him yet. He's grown out his hair, and there's some black hair peeking through the back, which is concerning. And then he's just kind of immobilized for the moment, and this man is taking care of him. Now, what's interesting is that this man knows who he is. He knows he's Vash the Stampede. And there's some conflict there whenever he's feeding him. So, which honestly, him taking care of it, I liked the idea that the man that has the disability, he's like, oh, they're all nice people. They're happy to sell me milk. It's fine. I'm taking care of you. And you're like, this guy's really sweet. This is really nice. And you're like, why is he taking care of Vash? You can see the little black hairs poking through. It's interesting. He's like, why is he taking care of him? And at the time you think, and you can see some black poking through the top too. At the time you're like, okay, well, he just feels bad for Vash, and Vash is struggling. And so he feels like helping him. But then there's the scene where he's about to tell him about the ship and he doesn't. What is he building? It looks like he's building a missile. Looks like he's building a missile or a rocket. I don't know what we're doing with that. I'm a little curious. And then we have Vash with all of his frickin' scars and his arm. This poor boy. Oh, and you can see the black coming through the back of his hair. Also, damn, Vash is just... Our poor boy has been through a lot. Poor Vash. But yeah, he keeps going back and forth while the town is celebrating. And he keeps working on this missile. I don't know exactly what we're doing with this. I'm honestly curious. He says, your hair's gotten long. Do you want it to grow out a bit more, or do you want me to cut it? So then you think, okay, he's just watching over Vash, taking care of him because he feels sorry for him. And he also is lonely and wants a companion. So I didn't think I'd be shipping this guy with Vash, if I'm being honest with you. And I don't really ship him, but I'm like, if somebody said they were shipping him, I'd be like, I get it. But you're kind of like, okay. So you think that he's just like wants a kindred spirit. He's being nice. But then when he does the shaving and he sees that little bright flash of light, it triggers a flashback of this woman that you can assume that, okay, this woman, he knows, maybe he loved her. Did something happen to her? If he knows Vash and who Vash is, was Vash partially responsible for her not being here? And you're like, okay, that adds a whole nother angle. So then you're like, is he waiting on Vash to get his facilities back to him so that he can like make him suffer? But right now, what's the point? He can't remember, so it wouldn't be fulfilling to him. I don't know. But I'm like, ooh, that adds another layer to it. Speaking of adding another layer, we see him and he notes the end of July where he sees that big towering plant. And Then we cut back to the present. And then we have this space shuttle crash. I do not know who this character is. She's very colorful. She has like, it says E-Pod and then it says status Vash. So she's been looking for Vash. She's been trying to find him and says, help me. But who be this? Also, the suit that she has under looks like a space suit. So did she come from the Nomad, from the Earth people's spaceship? And she sent off like a little pod? Is she from somewhere else on the planet that Vash knew from prior back in Stampede? I don't know. And meanwhile, we cut back to Vash again on the piano. Every day is exactly the same. I do love the piano, the nod to Vash playing the piano, which is tying two knives playing the piano. It's juicy. I love it. Look, I've talked plenty about this first episode. I really enjoy it, but I want to talk about some spoilers with you all. So if you are just Stampede Stargaze only and you don't want to know about Trigun Maximum or the 97 anime spoilers specifically, then I will be here next week and we will talk about episode 2, and I'm really excited about that. But if you want to stick around and listen to some spoiler talk, I'm going to be doing that here in a hot second. So we're going to be getting to that. But otherwise, have a wonderful week, stay safe, and I'll see you all for episode 2 of Trigun Stargaze. Spoiler corner time! I got lots to say. I really like this. I like this already. I am all about it already. I talked a little bit about it as far as changing the beginning. I have got the first volume of Maximum pulled up because Maximum, if you recall, Maximum actually starts after the events of Stampede. So honestly, if we're picking up where Stampede left off with Stargaze, it's following the beginning of Maximum, which is exciting, but it's also mixing some things from later in Maximum, so you can't really go by off of, oh, well, whatever happens. You can't do the thing of, well, I'll just follow Maximum and see how Stargaze adapts it along the way, because it's already adapting things from way in the future along with this. So it's this big conglomeration. It's basically like, what did the writers in Naitao really want to focus on? What did they want to do as like a highlight reel, mainly? With what they're doing, I'm kind of like, you could have a third season after this. I feel like, depending on how many episodes this is, how many episodes is this going to be? Stargaze episode count. Do we know? It's listed to have 12 episodes. Okay, so we're listed to have 12, which is fine. I feel like if they wanted to, just based on what we're seeing already, they could have a third season. Easily. With the contents of Maximum, they could have a third season. I have no doubt in my mind. I think that's what they're going to do, honestly. I'm going to call it right now. I think they'll have a third season, which will be the final season to cover all their bases, but I think they'll have it. So the moment I saw this character, I was like, who is that? I'm like, Legato's standing there, and Legato has the side bangs going this way, and this character has the side bangs going that way, so who is this? It's freaking Mid-Valley. Oh my God, Mid-Valley. That's why I got really excited, because in Maximum, in the 1997 anime, there's not a big Mid-Valley Legato. I was shipping them from the start anyway, but they don't really have any it's just like subtle subtext. In Maximum, the Mid-Valley Legato ship is real. And I was like, oh, ho, 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 ho. And I'm like, yes. So I got really, really excited. But yeah, and this is what I was talking about things already changing. Alindira in Maximum appears older, is totally different in their body type, and because of their physicality, they are able, in my mind, to do things that I don't think they'll be able to do in Stargaze, and I don't think that the writers are going to have her do that. So, again, it's going to be interesting because I think things are already going to change. They're going to be different from Maximum in ways, and I'm excited about that. But yeah, I think that's Monet the Gale that's holding the plant there. So yeah, let's talk about this intro. I freaking love this intro. I'm not a big EDM person. I don't like the dance music. It feels a little off-putting, but here we have Millie. We have Millie shown here, which is fun. I love the grenade thing. I want to go through this. Okay, I don't want to know who she is. We're going to talk about her in a little bit. I like that her button has an orange on it for like Studio Orange. That's a cute little nod. I don't know her. I don't remember her. She very much in her design feels like a new character. And the only reason I say that is that her design, it looks like someone trying to copy the 90s, but it's not the 90s. Does that make sense? I feel like she is basically a, how am I going to phrase it? She is basically an alternate version of a character that starts out this, which we're going to talk about when we get to the scene with Vash. We're going to talk about that. But I feel like she's a brand new character. I like her. She looks amazing. Her character design is so freaking cool. I love the rainbow beads and all of that. But she looks like she's anime original, which is cool. I'm like, give us a new character. I think that what she's going to do is function as a mix of certain characters together, which I'm fine with. Again, I think that you sometimes have to do that. Why did they make Vash look absolutely incredible with the long hair? I don't want him to cut his hair. I want him to keep this long hair for as long as he can. He looks so good. All right. So then, yeah, we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him in all of this. Yep, we're going to talk about him in all of this. I didn't want to talk about it during the regular reaction, but yeah. So Vash, we're going to get to this. I feel like a lot of this OP is just getting to the early part of the season, right? So then, Knives in the status tube. We're not surprised by that. Also, getting this all together. Oh, Vash looks so good with the long hair. He looks so good with the long hair. And then we have Millie and Meryl. Do they show us Wolfwood? I think they do. Yeah. I don't know what JSC stands for, the button that she has, but we shall see. And then, yep, we're going to talk about him. The Doctor character. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. We've got him going. Freaking Mid-Valley looks amazing. He looks so good. I'm so ready for the saxophone. He looks incredible with the pink. He looks so good, so good. And him and Wolfwood, I hope they have them together in this. He just looks like him in Legato. Make them a BL ship right now. Please and thank you. So yeah, Monet, Legato. Oh my God, I can't wait to get into Legato. I cannot wait to get into Legato. He's not this little sarcophagus, but it's fine. It's good. Elindira, love her. She looks incredible. Knives is like, I have got no time for you plebeians. And then, so yeah, do we have Wolfwood in the preview? Do we get him in the OP? I want to go back to this. All the worms, everything. Just look at how good Vash looks. He looks so good. So yeah, the Doctor, there's Wolfwood, yeah. Now, I don't know exactly who this is, if this is supposed to be Tesla, or if it's supposed to be, oh yeah, it says a plant. Lost July plant. I don't know if this is supposed to be Tesla, or says the past. It says the past on there. Oh man, maybe it is Tesla. It does say the past. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, and then there's Wolfwood, my dude. With the motorcycle. Just the fact that they're mainly showing Vash with the long hair, I love it. I'm so excited. Mid-Valley looks so freaking good in this. They made Mid-Valley look so hype. I love his character so much. They're not doing him dirty. They are doing this man justice. He looks fantastic. The hair looks great. I am so ready for the saxophone. I'm so ready for the jazz. I got really hyped in the OP seeing, yeah, the freak horn. Mid-Valley, the horn freak. I'm so ready. I'm so excited by him. But yeah. So then we go back to the whole thing with them and the thing there with the banana split with Zazzy. Zazzy, I was starting to get a lot. I was trying not to say anything during the reaction, but with their outfit and everything, I was getting some flashbacks to Maximum. I really like Zazzy's character in Trigun Maximum. I really like their storyline. I like Zazzy as this sort of neutral party where they're just this neutral party that is like, okay, here's what you all could be doing. Are you going to do it? Like, I really appreciate what they do in the story. And so I'm excited to see Zazzy as this kind of like just true neutral figure to see how they help each side if they do and how that's going to go across. I also did not expect to see Zazzy and Millie be a ship, but here we are. I'm kind of for it. Also, I really like Meryl's character in this. I like what they're doing with her character. I like her and Zazzy's encounters. It's a lot of fun. I like my one frustration through parts of Maximum is that Meryl's character goes through these dips and valleys of whether they feel mad at Vash or they don't believe him or something like that. But here they are establishing, we're just going to cut out all that miscommunication BS. She believes him. She knows that Knives is the one responsible. She's trying to communicate with him. She wants to help the plants. We're cutting through all the BS. Hack that fat out. Get us just to the juicy meat. And that's where we're at. The juicy worm meat. That's really what I want. Oh, the worms are so gross. No, I'm sorry, Zazzy. I'm so sorry about it. So, after we get through all this, we find out about the people from Earth coming by. And I'll be honest, I feel as if the fleet message of them picking up all of the planet, all of No Man's Land's people, is not in this. In this, they came like they were sent a signal and they came to assist and possibly like help the planet. But I don't, maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe it's been a hot second, but I don't remember them necessarily saying they were going to pick everybody up from the planet and head out. I feel like they were going to colonize it or something, if I'm remembering correctly. The part that we should remember is that Knives has none of it and is trying to blow up all the ships and just wreck humanity, which I'm going to be curious how they handle that in this, because from Knives' perspective, if all the humans leave the planet and it's just him left with Vash and the plants, problem solved. Problems are solved. We don't have anything to worry about. So either the humans are going to get there and they're like, we want to take the plants with us because we need that for our ship if we're going to take all the humans, or Knives is going to misunderstand what they're doing and fight them, and that's going to trigger a conflict, or something's got to give, because on the surface you would think, well, this is going to solve everyone's problems. The humans leave, the plants are left behind, Knives has got all the plants, he can have his utopia, everything ends hunky-dory. So something's going to have to give, and I'm going to be curious to see what that is. Okay, so at first, whenever we got his character here, I was like, who is that? I was like, who is this man? Who is he? I really like the way they develop his, like, being here from the onset. This is Hopper, the Gauntlet, one of the gung-ho guns. I'm so impressed that they didn't say anything about it. He was not in Stargaze, I don't believe. He's in the 97 anime. He is in this later on. That's why I said they're mixing some storylines and cutting some corners and like patching things together in different ways, which I'm excited about. Hopper the Gauntlet is one of the gung-ho guns, and he's hired in the original series by Legato to try to kill Vash because this woman that he took care of, she's blind. So when we get to, I'm going to go straight to the shaving scene. When we get to the scene where he sees her reflected in the blade, when he sees her reflected in the blade and he says, Eric's, you can see that her face is reflected in the blade light and she has her eyes bandaged. So the point is made in this episode to show that everyone that can see Hopper judges him, and she was one of the ones that didn't because she couldn't see. And in the original story, she's in July when July gets destroyed by Vash. In the original July, not the July. Now they've changed it to where now 2.5 years ago, he saw July get wrecked and she was in it. And so likely what they're going to do is that she died and now he blames Vash. Because in the original story, Hopper was hired to get rid of Vash, and he agreed because he wanted revenge on Vash for killing this woman that he loved. That seems to be the case here. So I wonder if what he's building in the shed is this missile or device or weapon that he's going to use to try to hurt people, and he's going to try to hurt Vash. But right now, he can't extract revenge upon Vash because Vash is incapacitated. He's like, no, I want you conscious. And I want you to be able to know when I kill you, why I'm killing you and what you did to me by killing the woman that I loved. That's where I think it's going. And clearly Vash is incapacitated because like this scene here where he's getting his face shaved, that's wild. And then the face shaving happens in Maximum. It's like the last scene before Vash becomes his old self again. We're going to talk about it in a hot second. But yeah, this girl that shows up, I might as well talk about. In the beginning, I talked about chapter 3 was Girls Bravo, and that's where we get to Millie and Meryl. The first 2 chapters of Maximum are to set up who Vash is and to set up what happened with July, which we did at the beginning of this episode. And then, however, because Maximum is an extension of the first 2 volumes of the manga that were just Trigun, and then it became Trigun Maximum, you already knew who Wolfwood was. And so in Maximum, we start out with Wolfwood going to find Eric's, and there's this girl, and this girl and her mom are taking care of Vash. And so when he gets there, Wolfwood shows up and sees Vash and is like, hey, get your ass up. Quit hiding here. You've hid here for 2.5 years. We've got to go take care of Knives and the others. And Vash is like, well, I could have decimated the whole planet. I don't really feel like doing it. That leads us to this amazing shot here of Vash with the gun. I don't know if we're getting that or not. I really want that shot. I really would like it in this, please. Hopefully y'all took notes of that. Also, we got Vash nakedy in this, but I don't think we're getting that. Also, I want this shot of Wolfwood and Vash with the gun. I need that. So here's my prediction. I think this girl that showed up is a character they've added to become the stand-in for this girl from Maximum. And I think she's going to help Vash get his bearings again. And then she's going to be on to the Hoppard and his plan. And then I think that, because in this series, Vash and Wolfwood save the girl. That's right where things kick back off. So, and then they go back to Knives, right? We find out the whole thing with Knives and the Tombstone. There's so much for Maximum I want to see if they adapt, which would be really fun. But yeah, so I do believe that Wolfwood may show up if Hoppard starts to attack, and Wolfwood may show up and save the girl and Vash, and then be like, okay, we gotta go and go back. Because yeah, in the manga, the girl shaves Vash's face and cuts his hair to get him ready to go hang out with Wolfwood, and then she has this conversation with Wolfwood, and we do the all done, and Vash still has his facial hair. It's great. I love that. And they go back to meet up with Meryl and Millie and go from there. So, also, they are doing the Maximum thing where already, as we've seen already in this, I want to find the exact shot of him combing through his hair. You can kind of see, but already Vash has got the back of his hair. You can see he's got the sprigs of black underneath the back and at the top. His hair's starting to turn black. I'm like, what are we gonna do with that? So yeah. But I'm so excited. This girl I think is gonna be interesting. I'm curious. She does look like she has the spacesuit on, like she's from the pod, and then she has like the little ripped pants and everything. I love her design. Her design is super cute. She's really, really cute. She would be fun to cosplay. She'd be a lot of fun to cosplay. I'm curious to know what her character is going to do, if she's going to be a stand-in for the girl in the manga, and then how we're going to do that, or how Hoppard is going to react with her. But as hot as traumatized Vash is, I need Vash to stop being traumatized. I like Eric's Vash in terms of his hair. I like hair down Vash. Looks great. But I need our boy Vash back. So if it takes Wolfwood to do it, then I guess we'll go. But anyway, I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below. Please, for the sake of those watching that have not seen or read the 97 version or Trigun Maximum, if you have any spoilers related to Trigun Maximum or that, please spoiler tag those for those down below in the comments so that they're not spoiled. But I would love to talk to you all about it and what you think is going to happen. So anyway, with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Trigun Stargaze. And I'll see you then. Bye.